Good morning. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate the effort. Coming off a bye week and got some young guys worked in practice and got some older guys that have battered and bruised, hopefully healed up. Just had a staff meeting with John Bowman and his team to kind of see where we're at. I'll know a lot more on some guys at practice today, but the short version is we put the open week to our best possible use. Got 3 days of work with the guys. Again, spent some time with our young guys, as I mentioned. And we're headed into our first road game at Central Michigan. And we got the message to the team to this point is to a great quality in a football team is you got to be able to go on the road in our league and find ways to get wins. It's not easy to do, particularly with at Central. You look at my 20 years here, I've not fared very well. I only had a chance to really come out on the victorious side of that twice. I'm not sure how many years. We don't play them every year, but I know I've won one time up there, 2011, and we had the victory last year. So just looking at my notes from our scouting report, we've only won 6 times, if this is correct, versus Central. So we got a huge challenge ahead. Just a couple of things on Jim's staff, and of course Jesse Williams, former Bobcat, was coached here for many, many years as our defensive line coach, is on staff there. Coach McElwain does a great job. Offense, defense, and special teams. They return, I think, 6 on each side of the ball. Offensively, transfer quarterback. The running back's big and physical. We saw that last year. They returned 2 receivers, and their right tackle is 2-time All-League, and he's a giant. He's probably the best tackle in the league. And defensively, make a living off tackles for losses. 4-2-5 is what their base is, similar to ours, but they're multiple in the pressure package. Do a really good job in the back end, and they've done a really good job in recruiting. They graduated. They're probably their best 2D linemen and their linebackers, and really they're not missing a beat. So and they're not transfer kids, and to me that says a lot about the staff and their program. They lost those 4 guys I'd mentioned and replaced them with program kids. And I think that's worth noting. So, again, a big task, but our guys are going to rise up, and we're looking forward to the challenge. With that, I'll open up for questions.
Marty Bannister, Ohio Radio. You talked physically those last 2 weeks, but was mentally the break at a good time?
I think so. I think I made this comment post game after the Akron game. Is I wish after the Kentucky game I was hoping I was wishing that the open week was after that game, but we got through the Akron game. It came really at a good time. Nobody wants to have an open date real early in the year, and so it was really good, not only from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint. Guys are 5 weeks into the semester, and you got some academic stuff you can get taken care of. We're locking down spring enrollment. There's a lot of things that we got done to take advantage of it, but ultimately they were off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think that was not only good for the staff, but good for the players.
Eric Decker with the Athens Messenger. Coach, looking at one of the kind of injury issues that kind of popped up at the end of the Akron game, Anthony Tyus was kind of holding his elbow, walking off towards the end of that game. Just can you give us an update on him and how he's looking?
Yes, so he had upper body soft tissue, but we were smart with him here in practice. I expect him to be full go today.
Bobby Keegan with the Post. Coach, how do you kind of avoid a slow start coming off of a bye?
That's a really good question. And, I just think preparation, and there's probably not a something I can say to him. We're going to talk about it. As with any head coach, you want to start fast. And we've shown them to being able to be a team that can do that, But we certainly didn't do that versus Akron, but we did versus Morgan State, right? So we got it in us. We just got to go out. I think prepare well on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and get on the plane and go do it on Saturday.
Andrew Bobby at WUB. Obviously, you guys on the bye week last week. Central also had their bye week last week. Does that change anything of how you guys prepare or get ready for this game?
No, I think it's really good scheduling by our commissioner. You know, that's what you like to do. You know, as a head coach, the team you're playing's got some extra days for a game. That's tough, but sometimes that happens. But it didn't change our process with it. We kind of mirrored what we did a year ago, and you know, that's where we're at with it.
Hey, Coach Marty Bannister again. They're number one in the league in total offense.
Yep.
You mentioned a couple of their guys. What stands out about what they do on offense?
They're balanced. They got some really good formations. Don't quote me on the exact personnel numbers, but they're almost balanced with 12 personnel, 11 personnel. They do a lot of really good things scheme-wise with the tight ends. And that running back's a physical guy. He can break tackles, and then they got those receivers. So you're in that thing. You put an eighth guy in there, you're going to be out there with those three good receivers. Now, the two guys they return, and there's a transfer receiver in there. I forget the name of the transfer young man. But so you're going to be – John and the staff on defense are going to be challenged with trying to stop the big running back and then being able to cover the shot plays. Again, their offense is multiple enough, it clusters and things like that, and they fake some stuff and then throw it over your heads. And then the quarterback is a dual threat guy. I mean, he can create, extend, make guys miss. So it will be stat-wise. You already named the number one stat. You know, with where they are offensively, it'll be our biggest challenge up to date as a defense. You know, nothing against Syracuse, nothing against Kentucky, but it's a different type of challenge because it's what I mentioned with the receivers, the tight ends, the formations, the quarterback. It'll be a big challenge.
Grant Kiefer, WAUB. Coach, you mentioned against Akron that you wanted to get out on the recruiting trail this week and hit it hard. Did you guys accomplish what you wanted to accomplish there with some games on Friday?
Sure did. I spent most of the day in Columbus myself, up seeing some high school coaches that are locally, but most of our staff was either in the state or out of state, and so we got to see some games. Thursday and Saturday, junior college and high school. Again, made the most of it. You know, we concentrated on the areas that we have guys currently on the roster, you know, and strengthen our ties with those programs. But really, we got some rest, but we also got some things done in the recruiting piece of this.
Coach, this is kind of more of a national-based question, but we're obviously with the new era that college football is in, and we're starting to see not even just from the initial Power 5 programs, but D1 programs all over the country with either NIL disputes or kids deciding to leave early to redshirt and decide to transfer. So for someone like you who's been in decades worth of college football, what's kind of just your thoughts to that kind of becoming more prevalent in this time?
Yeah, I'll try to keep my answer not 10 minutes long, but we need some guardrails. We need some guardrails on it. I don't want to speak on any specific player and what they're going through, but I tell in my conversations that I've had with my team in the last 2 years on this, it's not. We didn't make the rules. They didn't make the rules. That's what the rules are, and so the rules state they can do exactly what's happening, and it's not their fault. They're just taking advantage of what the rules are right now, and so I don't want to say unfortunate, but we can't be upset at the student athletes for this. They didn't do this, right? And so we as the adults have got to get some guardrails, and the NCAA is basically paralyzed right now, and we've got to get through this litigation, in which we're getting closer on it. Okay, so yeah, that's I think I answered it to the best of my ability without I'm riding the fence, and I could be Chip Kelly, and this is what we should do, and but I just I don't want to. It's not all on the athletes, the student athletes. It's not. They're just taking advantage of what the system says they can, and it's unfortunate.
Do you have any updates?
I really appreciate the question though, because it's a thing, man. It's a thing. Just Director Comer. I saw some articles, and I'm on the phone with her, and she's replying, and I know she's got her ear to the railroad track on this for sure.
Do you have any updates kind of just regarding injuries on the offensive line? It seems like you had a couple guys go down against Akron, maybe some guys on crutches.
Yeah, Jacob, Denny, and Carson, both of those lower body injuries. They're on crutches. I'm certain they will not play in this game. It'll probably be week to week. I'm certain those two guys will be out. Just by looking and with where they are right now, we're hopeful that after this game we'll see, but I don't anticipate neither one of those guys playing this week.
Coach, kind of bouncing off that with injuries, is there any update with Adonis? Do you guys think he'll play this week?
That one will be tough with what he's got. He's has not practiced going on 9 days now. And so we will see where he's at today. I know that looking at Adonis this morning in the weight room during workouts, he had a look of, I'm going. I know that, and so we'll have to see how he does throughout the course of the week. I know that it'll probably be a game time decision, but we want to be smart with it. So we just don't want him to tweak it, make it, irritate it. We want to take full advantage of what the time off he's had.
And then I was also going to ask about penalties. We've talked about it a little bit this year. You guys are, I think, second highest yards per game penalty-wise in the MAC. Just, is that something you guys discussed this week, trying to clean that up during the bye week?
Yeah, it's disappointing. We pride ourselves, and Ohio doesn't beat Ohio, and we talk about it as a staff, but there's not been, and we talk to the team about it and coach them. That's really all I know to do. There's been, no form of punishment or anything like that. But my message to the team on Monday after the Akron game is look, guys, if we don't clean up the turnovers and if we don't clean up the penalties, okay, Ohio's going to end up beating Ohio, and that's something that we learned from my first year as the head coach, first season as a head coach, that we have got to eliminate those things. And we have been a program, particularly the last 2 years, that have shown that we won games because of those things. And so I hopefully the message, the guys get it, and we can have a cleaner game on those two areas at Central. We're certainly going to need it to give us our best chance.
I'll continue with the injury theme here. Nick Polis was questionable against Akron. How is he progressing? If he's not doing too hot, what's Jacob Winters going to do in practice to kind of assume that QB2 role, knowing that he could go in at any moment?
I will say Nick did practice last week, and I think he probably had his best of the 3 days. Had his best day on Thursday, and so the only thing on Nick is he's just knocking the rust off. But I'll know more with how he goes. I would think he's be like Adonis, with the exception of Nick practiced. Adonis didn't. All right. Nick's is a lower body injury, so his upper body he can throw. He threw, and so he can do those things. So when I say practice, he's got out there throwing skelly, took some team stuff. But back to on Jacobs, the second part of that question. Again, we got Jacob as many reps as we could to make sure he's ready to go, because he was technically the backup last week against Akron, and we'll see how Nick comes this week. I know Jacob will be at the game and be ready to go either way.
Couple questions on Central Michigan. They've won each of their last 2 games with last-minute drives, a touchdown, then a field goal. Number one, what does that tell you about them? Is that a resiliency thing?
Yeah, I think that's great, Marty. I knew the last game. I knew, and I'd forgotten. Now that you said that, that's correct. Yeah, you got to look at the point to their staff, Coach McElwain and his background. Again, Coach Akey, the defensive coordinator, I know him through head coaches meetings. Really, really nice guy. Does a really good job. I think he's been there the entire time with Coach. And then just watching how their kids play. I mean, you watch them on special teams. I mean, I've said this before. How they rush the ball on extra point field goal tells you a lot, And I think that they return 6 and 6. You sprinkle in a couple transfers I'd mentioned. They got a good football team, and good football teams find a way to win those games. I like it. I mean, we beat South, tight game. I mean, it was a grind versus Akron, and then they got a pretty good football team. You asked Bowling Green, right? And so that's why our conference is so great, I think, And the records coming out, the non-conference records, and who our opponents face, our conference teams face, their records. Well, look who they played, and then when we get into league play, man, it's anybody can beat anybody, and it's tough to win on the road. And so I think that again, I go back to their staff, but their kids, it's a prideful program, and I anticipate a great matchup up there.
I want to ask you one question. I know it's been a couple weeks back now, but the Akron game, your defense. I mean, getting Bradley Weaver back was so huge for you. I thought Marcel Walker-Burgess continues to play well. But what did you like overall defensively against Akron?
Well, the third down was it's unbelievable. And then I think they had 2 fourth down stops too, right? And so a fourth down stop is like a turnover. And so we had 2, they had 2. It's a wash, but you get 2 fourth down stops. That's like a turnover because there's nobody punting the ball, flipping field position. You get the ball right there, And so really, it's fortitude. It's how as a coaching staff, So that stands out the biggest thing. But making somebody one dimensional, particularly with all the RPOs, was very challenging. Our guys handled that, and we're going to build off that because we're going to be tested. Nothing against Akron, but I told the team, hey, we played well, but it wasn't our best, and we're going to see better each week. The next opponent's probably going to be better, and the next week and the next week is how I explained it, and that's the course that we're on right now.
Last question, Coach.
Coach, you guys are 1-0 in the MAC this weekend. You're taking on Central Michigan, who's also 1-0 in the MAC, and then next week you guys have Miami. It's early in the season, but what are the implications of these next 2 games?
Right now it's, hey, we're going to try to find a way to win a road game, at a place that we have had very, very little success at, As I say, I mean, we've only won 6 times, I think. So that's our focus, and we want to be a good team. And to do that, you got to be able to take your show on the road and go get it done. And that's what we're going to try to get done.